Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbor. I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynch.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you...
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Klэyu. We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Klэyu. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued. It's for crossing long distances in a greater...
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol. Between the...
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. Before you do, it would be pertinent to ask other questions. Gather more info on this boat of hers.
The boat? No. It is called Cordelay.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
Okay. How about Cordelay 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelay, and its hull is 19 paces long. Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion. It's a pleasure craft. A 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Officer, I assure you...
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull.
Oh my, the E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator?
Then what does that say? Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-33A? This old proletarian haunt here? As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata. Yes. Anyway. Good. What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
She enjoys talking about the company. It would not hurt to inquire more.
Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary, but they are quite real for this. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous responsibility. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samoan and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago. Centuries of care, deliberation and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed, or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week now. They won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has...
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and...
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. Every worker, a member...
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the... It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision, about what? About anything, really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more... I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position. A hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no... And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. But
Excuse me, from whom did you...
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, call me mañana. The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Have you seen him? Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. That's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say...
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, and your opinion, detective, if I may ask. I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of...
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41, Detective Dubois.
Oh, and what happened to yours, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. Some kind of... I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine...
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional.
Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason. The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn it... Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like...
Detective, a word in private before we continue. this is not going quite as I hoped it would. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior. Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off as sincere to me. I think she's just quick to adapt. She's a professional, after all. No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we're siding with the Union. Or what I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching. Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time?
The situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate.
You could request a new one from the station, but that would literally take months.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff. Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Everard and the Dockworkers Union. Still.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network.
How convenient that they're stranded like beached whales at that roundabout.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about.
Her irises are light green, like the River Esperance in bright daylight. Upstream.
I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
Uncovering Union secrets could also give you an upper hand when dealing with them. You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the Union in another.
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently there's some sort of
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCN. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers. No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol, not the east across the river.
Well, at least this solves one.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand. How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the...
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local business... Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply...
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
The two?
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary...
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done. Yes? Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance. You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare? Of course, Detective.
The RCM does not pick sides in this. I hope...
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt... How could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person?
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting. Tell her she'll like you for it.
Of course, Detective. Until then, is there anything I can help you? That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the force day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something else I...
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
This...
The aim is to gain a deeper understanding.
A sort of spiritual quest. Something of ancient Ilmaran origin.
You will find him a big fan of the ancient ways. It's part of...
Nothing wrong with ancient ways. Our modern ones aren't necessarily better.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
We're in Martinez, baby. Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol, and the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body...
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités, vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed-over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her. And to humanity at large.
Revachol? Revachol is what you... The great...
As if it's self-explanatory. Beyond patriotism. A fact.
History, Detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile-Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago, they say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deep. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is. Oh, we're quite a way off. About...
A collection of tall ghosts behind the water vapor, light reflecting off their glass windows.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Silence. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the... There is no recognition. Only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete.
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember...
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
Oh, of course not. You are already diligent for getting this far, and diligent boys remember where they left.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabbit. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. "We always do."
You? You're an officer of the Ars... Preciso Mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
He's being sarcastic.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government. The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire...
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent, provisional... Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme. They called it the International Zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. It's on the tip of your tongue, a doubt of sorts already in your head, but it's not fully formed yet. You have to wait and return to this later, once the jamais vu thought is complete.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Of course, Ditto.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here.
Kuno's so?
You should thank him.
What? Don't be playing Kuno off as a...
Are you snitching, Kuno?
You found a real nice button to push. You're a little bit closer now to understanding this kid.
Kuno does...
It's not Kuno. It's Kuno S. Kuno S is by far the worst of the two. Kuno has no problem being near you, but the other hides behind the fence, afraid for her life, like she's done something very bad. She came up with that psychopathic scheme of screaming for help before. Kuno just wanted to talk to you about his name. Kuno S was the... Also, Kuno hasn't stopped talking to you, even enjoys it from time to time. When you talk to the other one, it's like talking to a cornered animal. She only hisses and says murder. All in all, Kuno respects madness. You cannot hope to outdo her on that front. You must win yourself a few minutes with him alone.
Fuck you whispering about?
He's whispering too. He's going with it. But watch what happens. She puts extra stress onto that word, expecting it will make you...
If Kuno wants to whisper, he's gonna fucking whisper, okay? Let's whisper, pig.
This is it. You've got him. But be careful. You can still fuck this up. Don't make Kuno look bad in this.
She's not fucked up. Everyone's fucked.
Wrong move. But he's whispering still. You haven't lost him. Just don't mess up again. Or you will. There are no guarantees here.
It's okay. The pig's trying to pit us against each other. Not gonna...
That's it. You let him off the line. That was a bad manipulation.
Try to fuck my Kuno! Try to fuck my Kuno away! Me and Kuno are tight. We ride for life.
You were too pushy, lot. Just look. She came up with that psychopath. Also, all in all.
Fuck you whispering about?
He's whispering too. He's going with it. But...
Fuck you!
She puts...
If Kuno...
This is it. You've got him.
Crazy? You don't know the half of it. She's not crazy. She's insane. Dangerous. She smoked a man. She's done...
Stop talking to him! Kuno, I'm fucking warning you!
She understands what you're trying to do.
Yo, see? Did Kuno not tell ya? Kuno told ya. Kuno talks to whoever... Talk, pig. Kuno's got it under control.
You did it. They're separated. He's even turned his back to her, so she can't read his lips.
Kuno means she killed someone. That's right. She's a killer.
His little green eyes are fixed on yours.
Killing is serious shit. Kuno's always serious about the 488.
488. The criminal code doesn't...
She's probably killed a pig too. I mean, I'm pretty sure she has. I knew you pigs were too naive for this shit. Good thing Kuno's got her under control. Kuno keeps her calm.
A cop would be too large for her to overpower. But a determined child of her size can still... The creature peers at you both from over the fence. There is something searching in her eyes. Kuno, for...
Kuno, there, that's it. That's what Kuno is starting to think, yeah. Fuck knows. She says it's the crazy people. The fucking...
Sounds boreal, like something from the tundra and tiger-covered Cutler, Isola. Far, far away from here. As far as possible, really. You mean evil little red-haired people like her? Yes, they do. The Suruese have that ginger gene.
Suruese? Like that man from Shelmdall shit?
Revelshot does have a small Suruese community. Or she climbed into a yakberry crate and was shipped over accidentally.
Fuck no, she's not my sister. She's just a Yeah, she was just there.
What was that, Kuno?
She was in the hallway, dripping wet, by the fucking shoe rack, in the dark.
A shoe cupboard just off to the right. Have you been to this place?
Yeah, that's the place. She was just balled up. Kuno's got no fucking idea. Her hair was all wet. I think she pissed on the floor too. She was there for 3... I don't know. Someone left the door open. Kuno comes home and she's sleeping under the desk. But Kuno's dad doesn't give a shit. Doesn't even see her there. Or thinks it's fucking Kuno. Shit's all on Kuno.
Kuno-S, two of a kind.
Cause she fucking looks like Kuno. No one knows her name. Kuno calls her C. Yeah, she's psycho. None of that kiddie psycho. Cat burning shit. She does the real deal. Yeah. Snuff radio shit. Believe me.
And he doesn't even want to think about it. This isn't just another boast.
Yeah, she... Look, Kuno's gonna put you at ease. We did...
He speaks the truth, my liege.
How's Kuno dealing? Kuno's dealing just fine. He doesn't need you. Kuno's got this shit under control. Listen, listen. See, it's Kuno's go-to. Kuno's protecting her.
This is what it all comes down to. He needs you to take him
I'm going to kill you. I'll run when you put the cuffs on her, sneak up on you later, and fuck you up. You understand? Alright, now we can do business. Yeah? What do you want? Kuno can hook you up with...
Don't hook him up with...
See? Relax. He respects the Kuno. Kuno made him respect... Kuno's gonna get you hooked on illegal narcotics if you run a little errand for the Kuno. Get you hooked, pig. Get his... See? It's tension and release with Kuno. Now we releasing. The pan buying shit? That's on now too. 90%. Kuno flexes for hobos. Kuno sees you're in need. Kuno gets it from his dad. Kuno and his dad are major suppliers. That's where Kuno gets his lightning on. Problem is, Kuno and his dad had a little falling out. Now junkies clawing at Kuno's door. Streets going mad. Kuno's got to throw his dirty popo man at it. Dirty popo man is you. In there is Kuno's violent dad on steroids. Kuno's dad does steroids and speed. If you can take him, you can have half of the speed. Kuno's dad is a fucking monster. He's the most violent man in Revachol. He doesn't give a shit.
Are you sure you can take on the most violent man in Revachol? In your condition?
Like half. A baggie, but like in this vial.
That's half a gram.
Yeah, half a G. Want it or not? Fuck you talking about half a G? This shit is...
You can barely see it, because there's barely any.
Okay, Kuno's listening. Sure. Confiscate it.
So half of a half is a quarter, right? We're probably...
Just get in the apartment building. Kuno knows you already fucked your way in. Kuno knows everything. Go to room 12, first floor, and kick down the door. Police violence style. Kuno style. And then that's it. Next time Kuno sees you, you better have his shit.
What the hell are you signing us up for here? Okay then.
Kuno doesn't